a little bit. Yeah. Anywho, happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, come on, this thing's like tiny. It's not even sharp. Look, see? Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. How y'all doing tonight? Or should I just wait for some of you to show up? Maybe you're not even coming. Maybe I'm just going to stand here and talk to myself for a little while. You never know. But hey, it'll be amusing anyway. And Kevin, when you're seeing this on YouTube later, dude, come on. Firstly, congratulations, Kevin, on being dad part 2. You have yourself a wonderful little family there, dude. Very happy for you. Looking good in the old man glasses as well. Yeah, so it is Fizz Friday, right? I want to thank some of you for joining me on Tuesday for the very first of the Tia Tuesdays. And if you were there, I know we had Mr. Christopher Flink on, and we were going to talk about bitters tonight and glassware next week. But Mr. Flink went and got himself a job. Hey, Pops. And so he has to work tonight. The nerve. Hey, Andy. The nerve of some people. He had to go and work. Like, what's more important? Working and paying your bills or having a good time with me? Okay, I get it. Paying the bills, working. I get it. It's all good. So, obviously, that kind of made me go, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about tonight? And I came up with a wonderful idea because ding, lights go off and my brain just does all kinds of weird Ratatouille type stuff. If you haven't seen it, go watch Ratatouille and you'll see the fireworks go off in his brain and then you'll understand me better. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about glassware and cocktail choices, but we're going to get deeper into that next week. Tonight, I'm actually going to talk about what I do. And more specifically, the liquids I work with. Now, I know you know that I work with Tia Maria, cold brew coffee liqueur, and Di Serono, the original amaretto. But what are they? Why are they considered what they are? Hey, Mel, thanks for joining. But you know what? It's Fizz Friday, so let's kick things off. I've had a bit of a day. It was a good day. When I say a bit of a day, don't get me wrong. But still a bit of a day. So I've got that's right, 27.5 ice cubes. You know what? You've seen me use the plastic wine glass. I'm indoors. I usually save these for out on the patio. Tonight I've got an actual proper glass. And now this wine glass might look a little funny to you, and this is where some of the glassware chatter is going to come in. This is actually a Pinot Noir glass. And if you're like, what? Pinot Noir is just a red wine. You put it in a red wine glass. No. Well, yes and no. A few years ago, I was fortunate enough to do a wine glass tasting. Not a wine tasting, a wine glass tasting with Maximilian Riedel of Riedel Stemware. Wine glasses, whatever. Glassware. And so we actually tried different wines in different glasses. So we tried a Pinot Noir in the Pinot Noir glass, in a red wine glass, and in a red plastic solo cup. Exact same wine, 3 different ways, and the difference was mind-blowing. So this little lip right here is what we call the acid bump, and what that does is it helps control how much of the wine hits your palate and where. So certain wine glasses are going to have a bigger bowl with a narrow mouth. Some are going to have more straight tulip shape. What that does is it controls how much liquid hits what part of your palate for the best possible flavor as well as aroma experience. Because as we all know, 90% of your sense of taste comes from your beezer, your sense of smell. And I was kind of embarrassed to wake up this morning and realize that I have a zit, which is why I'm in dim lighting tonight, because I'm 45 freaking years old and I have a zit on the end of my nose. What the heck is that about? Shouldn't be happening. Anyway, that's essentially why we get into different glassware, because we want to smell, we want to taste, and that just creates the whole experience. Why do we eat Lipton's? Blah, blah. Take 2. No. Oh, that's right, this is live. I don't get another take. Damn it. No. Why do we eat Lipton's chicken noodle soup when we're sick? Because we can't really taste it. We can't really smell it because we're stubbed up and we have a cold and we talk funny. But that's why we eat the soup. You can't really know that it tastes like crap. You don't eat it when you're healthy, because then you know what it actually tastes like. You eat it when you're sick, because it feels good, and the noodles are fun to slurp. It's fun to like eat all the broth and have just like spoonfuls of noodles, right? Andy knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's where smell and taste come into play, and this is why your glassware can come into play and make a difference. So we've got our 27.5 ice cubes. We'll call it 27 2/3 today. And we're gonna make our fizz. And as I'm saying that, I realized I forgot one thing. Just like Tuesday, I always forget one thing. What did I forget today? I forgot the fizz. Fear not, I'm adaptable. If I'm nothing, I'm adaptable. And Andy, save the nothing comments. I know what you're gonna do. All right, so I've got my Di Serono, or as my dear friend Laura, who is the sales rep who covers Guelph, Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo, London area, as her boyfriend calls it, Di Cerone. This is Di Cerone Fizz, Di Cerone Friday. He's just making fun of the Italian accent. And to me, it's kind of racist, but that's only because I'm part Italian. Anywho, and you can't see this, but I'm actually opening a drawer with my foot while I do this. Hey, Tasso, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining. I will see you tomorrow. So, Tasso owns a restaurant up in Peterborough called Tasso's. Great place. Last time I was there, the food, fantastic. I'm going to be up there. He's got live music going on. So if you're in the Peterborough area, when you see this, I'm going to be up there tomorrow making cocktails all night. And I'm really looking forward to it. He's a great guy. The team there, the service is phenomenal. The food, out of this world. So I've got my lemon. And no, I'm not going to throw it around because I'm indoors. And it goes everywhere and gets sticky and I get in trouble. And we don't want that. So I'm just going to... All right, it made the sink. And now... I'm going to pull a bit of a Muppets vanishing act. What? You know what? Talk amongst yourselves. Just, you know, contemplate life. No, I'm just kidding. I actually have just a can of club soda here. I don't normally, you know, emergency rations because of COVID. So I'm going to throw this in. And we have our Di Serono Fizz. Our Di Serono Fizz. So cheers, everybody. Happy Friday. Hey, Jen. Thanks for hopping on. Always super refreshing. All right, I'm just going to set that aside there. Now, when I said I'm going to talk about what I do and the liquids that I work with and a little bit about glassware, what I'm going to talk about is modifiers. What are modifiers? I know, Dad, that your brain just went to grammar and adjectives and adverbs because, you know, you're a teacher and Mom taught English and whatnot, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cocktail modifiers. A couple of you out there will know what I'm talking about because you're in the industry. What is a modifier? A modifier is something which is not usually considered a base spirit or a base ingredient. So, what are bases? There's those little white squares that you run around touching baseball. That's what bases are. Anywho, bases are things like bourbon, my Woodford Reserve. They are things like the Gibson's Finest that I use to make a cocktail on Tia Tuesday. Your gin, your rum, your vodka, your tequila. Typically, your 40% or higher spirits are your base ingredients or your base spirits. What are your modifiers then? Modifiers are things like vermouth. And please, 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 if you open a vermouth, put it in the fridge. It is only a fortified wine. Yes, it's fortified, but it is still a wine. It is fermented, not distilled. It will go off. Yes, it takes a lot longer to go off, but it will go off. So please keep this in the fridge once it's open. And if you run a bar and I come into your bar and you have your vermouth on the back bar, I'm going to smack you. In my head, not physically or verbally. I just won't say a thing. But other popular modifiers. So think about things like your Campari, your Aperol, your Banging Bottles. That was actually a bottle of Amaro Montenegro. Now, this is fantastic on its own. Amaro Montenegro, I'm going to, you know, go off on a tangent the way I normally do. Amaro Montenegro. What is an Amaro? Amaro is a bitter spirit, digestif. There's dozens of them out there. Cynar, Averna, Amaro Montenegro, Amaro Nino. Even Campari and Aperol are considered Amari or bitter, potable bitters. Aids in digestion. So whenever you're having stomach troubles, don't reach for the Pepto. Don't reach for ginger ale and Angostura bitters. Reach for Amaro Montenegro. Sip this on ice, and in 10 minutes, you'll feel right as rain and be ready to go. This stuff is fantastic, and it makes a great cocktail. Flavor-wise, think, you know those fuzzy peaches candies? Think like the fuzzy grapefruit candies. Right, Chrissy? Thanks for hopping on. Amaro Montenegro. Delicious stuff. Other modifiers, you've got your Cointreau, which is an orange liqueur. You've got your Tia Maria. You've got your Di Serono. You've got green chartreuse. You've got maraschino liqueur, cherry liqueurs like cherry herring or Luxova cherry. Why am I going off of these? These are modifiers. Modifiers are usually your secondary, tertiary, and quadriary ingredients in a cocktail. So think about your martini. Your vermouth is your modifier. Think about your old-fashioned. Your simple syrup is a modifier, technically. Your Manhattan, the sweet vermouth, is a modifier. Your Negroni or Boulevardier, it's basically a base spirit with 2 modifiers. And when you're talking about cocktails that are all spirit, like your Manhattan, your Negroni or Boulevardier, they're not going to go off. Even though there is sweet vermouth in them, you can actually decant them. This is actually a decanter of what I call truth serum. This is actually a riff on a Boulevardier, classic cocktail. So Boulevardier is equal parts bourbon, Campari, sweet vermouth. Mine is bourbon, Campari, Tia Maria. Tastes like a bitter version of a Terry's chocolate orange. Right, Chris? Thanks for hopping on, hun. Good to see you. Oh, Christine? No, I'm just kidding. Christina, I still have some. But this bottle's actually empty. This is a dummy bottle at this point. So these are modifiers. And I'm fortunate enough to actually work with modifiers. And while, yes, some of the cocktails I make, like my Decent Daiquiri, it is still the modifier. It is life-changing to that particular cocktail. I want to say life-changing, not just to the experience, which I hope it is life-changing to the experience, but it changes the cocktail in such a way that it's completely different from the original. So think about the daiquiri, right? 2 parts rum, 1 part sugar or simple syrup, 1 part lime. Take out that sugar or simple syrup, plug in Di Serono. It totally changes the construction, the flavor profile, and therefore the drinking experience of that cocktail. Think about things like the Paper Plane. Great cocktail, bourbon, Aperol, Amaro Montenegro, lemon juice. So 1 base spirit, 3 modifiers, equal portions. Take out the Amaro Montenegro and put in something else. Take out the Aperol, put in something else. And you've got a completely different cocktail, a completely different experience. Life-changing is the way it goes. So I'm going to make a couple cocktails in a couple different glasses, and I'm just going to sort of like ease people into the glassware thing. And I don't want to make anybody seasick by showing them my glassware problem. I don't call it a collection. It's a problem. Not going to lie. I have a glassware problem. First of all, I'm going to get to, well, first of all, because Dad, Andy, you're watching, hey, remember these? Used to drink orange juice out of these as kids. I might have lifted them from the cottage. But they're fantastic for just sort of sipping a bit of Amaro Montenegro from, if you don't have it on ice. Guys, typically men are afraid of ordering certain cocktails when they see them because of the glassware. So they tend to avoid cocktails that come in things like the Coupe or Coupette or the Nick and Nora. I mean, this is a stunningly gorgeous glass. A lot of guys feel afraid to order a cocktail that comes in this because they don't feel masculine enough. Guys, suck it up and grow a pair. They want, your heavy crystal rocks glasses. La la la. This one is branded by Campari. It came with the bottle. Whatever. Don't be afraid of it. Enjoy the cocktail. And going back to using that Pinot Noir glass, when you drink a Pinot Noir versus a different red glass, and Chris, don't at me about this. It's the whole Riedel thing. It's a controversial thing among somms and bartenders and whatever. Yeah, that's where they went, Andy. If you want one, I have two. Shh. My point was the glassware can affect the aromas and therefore the flavor of the cocktail. So don't be afraid of it. First cocktail I'm going to mix up for you is one of my new favorites, and one of my dear friends hates me for it because he found out that there was an amaretto cocktail that he actually likes. Sorry, Twigger. It's called the Ferrari. And this is a super easy cocktail because it is nothing but modifiers. It's 2 ounces of dry vermouth, and yes, I'm using a French dry vermouth called Dolan's. It's about 15 bucks at the LCBO. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the best vermouths you can buy from the LCBO. There are others out there that are better. They're more expensive. You have to buy them by the case because they're consignment. Don't tell me about, oh, the one by Weber's? Sweet. Think I might have to go for a road trip. Sorry. The Highway 400 Antique Market has good glassware. Good to know. Hey, Peyton, everybody else, thanks for joining. So I'm making the Ferrari. The Ferrari, like I said, is just modifiers. So it's 2 ounces of Dolan's dry vermouth, which is a French dry vermouth, different from an Italian dry vermouth. How? Why? We'll save that for another episode. And then it's 1 ounce of my favorite, Di Serono. Oh, wait, sorry, I got to do this. Because, like I said, that's half the reason I took the job, was so I could spin the bottle cap like that. All right, and then it's 1 ounce of Di Serono. So 2 parts dry vermouth, 1 part Di Serono. It's that simple. If you want to get fancy, you can add some orange bitters to it. And I'm going to use my bigger, blacker spoon. Again, bigger, blacker spoon. If you know, you know. And you shouldn't know. I'm just kidding. All right. I'm going to give that a quick stir as I look around for the other things that I forgot. And now I'm going to improvise. We're going to use that knife that I started the show with. This really super sharp, look at how sharp this knife is, not a scratch. I'm just going to strain this. I'm just using that as sort of a filter to strain out the ice cubes. And I'm pouring this into the Nick and Nora. It's a delicate cocktail. A delicate cocktail deserves a delicate glass. And there we go. This is fantastic. You can garnish it with some orange zest if you like, some lemon zest if you like. But you know what? Sometimes you just need to dive in. Oh, Ferrari. Such magical, magical love. It's a low ABV cocktail because you're using nothing but vermouth and Di Serono. By the time you chill it and stir it down, it's going to actually reduce the alcohol content even further. So that's 1 glass. That's 1 cocktail made with nothing but modifiers. I spoke about the Boulevardier. Boom. Watch. Like I said, I keep it in a decanter. And it's this simple. And 5-second cocktail. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. This is not your standard Boulevardier. Chrissy, you got to try this one. This is equal part bourbon. I used Old Forester, which is the first bottled bourbon ever. First commercially bottled bourbon is Old Forester. Woodford Reserve is actually 89% Old Forester. Little tidbit of trivia for you there in case it shows up on Jeopardy in the near future. So this is equal parts Old Forester bourbon, Campari, Tia Maria. Terry's bitter chocolate orange. I'm going to set this over out of the way because there's no way I'm cheersing myself, apparently is what I'm doing. There's no way I'm going to drink all of these cocktails because, you know. And I have a 12-hour day tomorrow at Tasso's, which I'm really, really looking forward to. Nick and Nora's movie, The Thin Man. Thanks, Pop. Can always count on him for a little bit of extra trivia. Love it. Thanks, Dad. You know what? You can make blue cocktails. Blue Curacao modifier. This is the Giffard. If you can find it, grab it. This stuff is delicious. Interesting thing about blue Curacao. What is it? Well, it is an orange-flavored liqueur. Yes, based from the Dutch island of Curacao in the Caribbean. Why is it blue? How did it become blue? Chrissy, shh, no giving away the answers. Originally, what happened was when they were making this liqueur, way back when, can't remember the date off the top of my head. I have enough other dates in my mind to worry about. They were making Curacao. Now there were different grades of Curacao, and there was a governing body that went around testing these liqueurs, and they found that certain people were using counterfeit ingredients or lower quality ingredients, and it was substandard. It was subpar. So they added a blue dye to it, a blue food coloring to it. So if you got a blue drink back then, you'd know that they used substandard Curacao. Therefore, why would you want that? Because then somebody in the late 1970s discovered a blue-orange liqueur, and it made the drinks look really pretty, and it got super popular, and everybody was like, "Yay, blue curacao!" But it's come along, and it's come a long way. Don't get me wrong; this is actually really good stuff as far as blue curaçaos are concerned. But originally, the blue was meant to be a warning because it was made of substandard ingredients. There you go. As opposed to Cointreau, uses actual Seville oranges, same as Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier is a cognac-based orange liqueur that uses Seville oranges. These guys are French. Ta-da-da-da. It's just it's a vodka base versus a cognac base. Wow, I'm knocking bottles around here. I'm gonna make one more cocktail, which is pretty much pure modifier again for you, but I'm not using a fancy glass. I'm just gonna go with the old-fashioned cut crystal glass. Now, most of you are gonna recognize this. This is a variation of one of those cheesy 80s vodka soda type cocktails from the 80s. Di Serono. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Yes, that's where I'm going. I'm going to the Dr. Pepper. Now, the Dr. Pepper people used to make was like basically Di Serono and Coke or Di Serono and Pepsi. I'm like, that's great, but let's elevate it a little bit. So we've got our Di Serono. Going to use another modifier, going back to the cherry. In this case, Luxusova, which is a cherry liqueur. The more popular choice might be cherry hearing, especially for those of you in the industry. You know the name cherry hearing when you hear it. You hear hearing, not herring. Yes, it looks like a herring. It is red. It's not a red herring. It's a hearing. But this is Luxusova, so it's that potato Polish vodka or Polish potato vodka. Either way, good to know. So I'm just using an ounce of each. So an ounce of Di Serono, an ounce of Luxusova cherry, and again, I'm going to take some of that club soda, throw it in, and it tastes just like a Dr. Pepper. Now, I actually have a testimonial, but the individual in question that could testimonialize for me did not join us today. So, Tarina, I have a bone to pick with you. She posted that she was doing some stuff earlier this week, and I mentioned it to her on Instagram. I'm like, you got to try Di Serono and Luxusova cherry. It makes a great Dr. Pepper. She went and made one. She's like, oh my God, it tastes just like Dr. Pepper. That's why I said that. If you saw the posts in the comments, I was tagged and blah, blah, blah. But there you go. It's a little bit lighter. It's Dr. Pepper. It's really Dr. Pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Wouldn't you like to have a pepper too? You want one? You want one? Can't have one because you're not here. All right, everybody. I've rambled on for longer than I actually thought about modifiers and what they are and how to use them and how you can actually make them the focus of your cocktail. So the Di Serono Sour or Amaretto Sour is basically a cocktail with the modifier, what is normally called a modifier, as your main ingredient. So to the bar people out there, don't be afraid to reach for the modifier and make that the base ingredient, make that the star of your cocktail. Things like Luxardo Maraschino liqueur, a little goes a long way, but you can actually make this the star of your cocktail. Di Serono, Tia Maria, make them the star of your cocktail. Green chartreuse, sweet basil chai, great. You can make that the star by working with other ingredients and testing your proportions, your ratios. Feel free to reach out to me and say, hey, I've got a bottle of blah, blah, blah modifier. I don't know how to use it. How can I work with it? How can I use it so that I can either A, get rid of it, find a new way to enjoy it? Doesn't matter. Reach out to me. Let's chat. Let's collaborate. We'll have a conversation. Sorry, but I'm kind of stifling a burp just to be polite for most of you. Andy, I don't really care. No, I'm just kidding. I do. I'm just trying to be polite and a little bit professional. Just a little bit professional, not completely. So I've talked to Chris. So for those of you who are here on Tuesday for Tia Tuesday, I've talked to Chris. We're going to reschedule and do our bitters conversation where you can see my drawer of bitters. We're going to do the glassware thing. I talked to Meg from Jaeger. We're going to reschedule that as well. So there's lots of fun stuff coming down the pipe. And right before I go, if you live in the GTA and you know about the distillery Christmas market and you're wondering what's going on because of COVID, is there going to be a Christmas market? Isn't there? There is and there isn't. It's scaled back. There are a number of chalets or heated booths, 2.5 hour max for people. They're going to be branded. There's going to be cocktails that you can order, and you can order food from the various venues. So guess who's going to be in one of the chalets? That's right. I'm going to be there with Tia Maria. I'm going to be there from the 23rd, 24th of November to the 23rd of December. Now, I'm not going to be there every day. Meaning my brands, will be there because they're going to be featured on cocktail menus. But you can get Tia Maria cocktails. Who else is going to be there? Crystal Head Vodka, Herradura Tequila, which is a fantastic tequila if you like tequilas, Andy. Jack is going to be there. Jack Daniels, whether it's Old Number 7, the Apple, the Gentleman Jack, we're not sure yet, but Jack will be there. Gosling's rum is going to be there. So if you're a rum drinker, there you go. You can have some cocktails, you can have some snacks in a limited time, in a limited bubble, in a branded chalet. If you want more details, again, hit me up and I'll hook you up with the information so that you can go, you can check it out in the reduced, and they're calling it a Distillery Winter Village this year. It's not the Christmas market, it's the Distillery Winter Village. If you get to go there, you got to stop by my friends at Spirit of York, which is a fantastic distillery. They make a couple different vodkas, gin, they make a delicious, delicious rye, and one of my favorite base spirits, not modifiers, Aquavit. That's right, Aquavit Gin's older big brother, which I'm going to actually reach out to them and see if I can get Dr. Simon Ho on here where we can talk Aquavit and how you can use Aquavit and what it is. It's basically a gin, but instead of that juniper pine note, it's got kind of a dill caraway, more caraway than dill. Sorry, Andy, you're out of luck. You need to, learn to enjoy it because it's absolutely fantastic in a number of different cocktails. I'm going to work on that. I can't promise when, but it's coming. Everybody stay safe, stay home if you don't have to because it sucks out there. It's Friday the 13th. People are idiots. Go drink a Dr. Pepper or a Di Serono Fizz. If you got some vermouth, make a Ferrari. Again, hit me up for recipes anytime, guys. Say I've got a bottle of X or Y or even Z, and I'll help you out making delicious cocktails. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you all on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you joining from other time zones, if you're out there, I'm sorry I didn't get to acknowledge everybody that joined us. Cheers. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go be a pepper. Peace.